Like the governor was declaring state of emergency, and a lot of other places were going into a state of emergency. Did the board ever consider a declaration of an emergency during this? And if
we considered it, but we were waiting for our director to tell us it was time.
We also did not vote to enact it because we didn't have power outages in Mass, and we did.
So I guess the bottom line is that it was we were very lucky this weekend because we didn't have a whole lot of emergency response.
No, actually, the call volume was down for emergency calls because people were at home. They were behaving. They were patient, which people need to be patient.
I got a sense that that you did some transports of people here.
Jamie did a few.
In there, but I mean, even that did not say reach the level of.
No, it was very minimal.
The 1996 storm.
No.
I think the real trigger for a declaration by them is that does the county need to go to some expense or to some extraordinary level to deal with what's happening out there? In other words, are there places where if they're say that I know in Reinhold's last night they had a big fire at a church,
Lutheran church,
and I would imagine they probably brought out some crews and maybe some extra equipment to clear the way or to deal with that. And if say EMA would have to go to PEMA to acquire some other equipment or meet some needs, then it's necessary for the commissioners to do that declaration so those expenses can be authorized and move forward. But as they're saying yesterday, we didn't have any power outages that I knew of. I asked Dan that last night.
There were 3 roads closed because I was down this morning and checked, but that was about it.
No big deal.
But the other thing that I wanted to say was, in retrospect, the only other thing I could think of that would maybe still ask us to declare that emergency would be if there were multiple townships or boroughs that had expenses above and beyond, and there would be federal funding that would flow to them if we declared an emergency, because we can't be a broken link coming from the federal to state to county to local. So that's another consideration, but I haven't heard of anything at this point.
The transports were, it was very controlled, and it wasn't. It was one of the trucks got stuck for a short time, but
where were you transporting? Cedar Haven, things like that.
Cedar Haven, and the prison, and I think the VA, a couple for the VA, but then they had a shuttle that was out of service for a little bit, but they got it back in service again, and they were sort of self-sustained. I think we took one to Columbia Cottage or something, which another, but mainly our institutions.
And
but
prison.
But it wasn't like there was a backlog of 15 or 20. It was 4s and 5s.
How many total? You know?
I'm gonna guess maybe 20 total throughout that period.
But we
What about those people dialed 911 and complained about their driveways being cut?
well, those people I don't have a lot of sympathy for, quite honestly.
Commissioner Litz raised an interesting point about the funding to help these municipalities. Could you declare an emergency retroactively to do that? Wouldn't the action have to have been taken during
I think
the storm?
so, yes.
I think you can too. It doesn't always happen to this immediately or in anticipation of something.
I think it probably has to be done at the time.
What's that?
I think it has to be done during the event. I don't think you can do it retroactive just for funding.
I think that's
Could
something we
try.
could ask our solicitor to give us an opinion on.